with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who believes in a plurality of deities. So other than these two people, God will forgive all of His creation. And this is, you could see it's referenced in the Al-Bazzar, Bahr al-Zukhar, At-Tirmidhi in his Sunan. You can also see it in Al-Bayhaqi with his isnads, in a Shu'ab al-Iman, one that is mursal, one that is mursal jayyid. You can also see in the Mu'jam al-Kabir of al-Tabarani. You can also see in Ibn Hibban in the Sahih, where he classified it as Sahih. Ibn Khuzaymah in his Kitab al-Tawheed, Al-Mundhiri in the Targhib al-Tarhib, Al-Haythami in his Majma' al-Zawaid, where he evaluated all the transmitters of this narration and said they're all upright. You can also see it by the contemporary hadith scholar Sheikh Al-Albani in his Silsilat al-Hadith al-Sahiha, where he said this hadith is sahih, it's authentic. So there are many narrations, I don't want to go into it, but the point to remember is that this month, the night of this month, the 15th, has a basis. It is not an innovation, it is not made up, it has a scriptural basis. And I just want to finish on a comment made by one of the early Hanbali scholars. We have 4 schools of thought in Islam. We have the Hanafi school, mainly in subcontinent Turkey, parts of Egypt, Middle East. Then we have the Shafi'i in the Middle East, Syria, places like that. Then we have Maliki in North Africa, Spain, Iberian Peninsula. And then we have the Hanbali, which is in parts of the Middle East and North Africa, but mainly in Saudi Arabia, this school. One of the top jurists of that school of the 13th century, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, أما ليلة نصف شعبان فقد روي في فضلها من الأحاديث المرفوعة والآثار وما يقتضي أنها ليلة مفضلة. Look what he says. He says with regards to the night of the 15th of Sha'ban, i.e. of this month, there are many hadith narrations about its virtue and excellence. Some of them, he says, hadith al-marfu'a, some of them are going straight back to the Prophet in contiguous channels of transmission, in direct isnad. Some of them are athar, they are statements of the Prophet's companions. They are such that يَقْتَدِي أَنَّهَا لَيْلَ مُفَضَّلَةً. These narrations are enough to establish that نصف من شعبان, ليلة نصف من شعبان, ليلة مفضلة. It is a superior meritorious night, or superbly meritorious night, or extremely meritorious night. وَأَنَّ مِنَ السَّلَفِ مَنْ كَانَ يَخُصُّهَا بِالصَّلَاةِ فِيهَا. And then there are those who did a specific prayer in this night. Ibn Taymiyyah also continues in his massive compendium of fatwas, legal edicts. He says, if someone إذا صلى الإنسان ليلة نصف وحده أو في جماعة خاصة كما كان يفعل طوائف من السلف فهو أحسن. He says, if anyone prays by themselves in this night, does extra devotional prayer, night vigils, some supplications, some remembrance of God, dhikr. Oh, fi jama'atin. Oh, if he does it together in a group. So if we all came together now and we said, okay, we're going to do a collective devotion tonight. We're going to read the Quran together. We're going to remember God together and so on. He says, as some of the Salaf al-Salihin did, the early scholars, he says this is the best. This is very, very good to do. Then he says, وَأَمَّا الْإِجْتِمَاعِ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ عَلَى صَلَاةٍ مُقَدَّرَةٍ كَالْإِجْتِمَاعِ عَلى 100 رَكَعَةٍ بِقِرَاءَةِ أَلْفَ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ دَائِمًا فَهَذَا بِدْعَةٌ. He says, okay, with regards to specifically congregating in a mosque to do a specific prayer, where you say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ 1,000 times, he says this is not founded, there is no basis for this. لَمْ يَسْتَحِبُّهَا أَحَدٌ مِنَ الْأَئِمَّةِ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ. And he says, none of the scholars says this is recognized and God knows best. So just to really recap very quickly, in this night, the scholars say that we should do the following, if we can, and if we do remain up in this night of Sha'ban, Nisf min Sha'ban, which is on Monday night, as far as I know, is to ponder on our own states. What's the state of our hearts? What's the state of ourselves? We need to ask ourselves that. This is a night to ponder over that. Prepare to pray through the night. To get ready to do a night visual, a night prayer. Make lots of supplications to God for forgiveness, to increase your knowledge and things like that. To make lots of recitation of the Quran, Tilawatul Quran. To read the Quran a lot, because reading it wipes away sins. It also increases one's blessings and so on. To remember God much, to do dhikr, to do tasbih, invocations of God, invoking His names, to do durood upon the Prophet, alayhi salatu wa taslim, to do Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, to pray upon the Prophet. So these are some of the things regarding the legal, devotional aspects of the middle of Sha'ban. So according to majority of the scholars, this night is not unfounded. It is based on authentic narrations, and in this night we should try as much as we can to do general devotion and seek God's reward, His bounty, and so on. But there is one significance that is lost about this month, other than devotional. There is another important thing that happened on this day of this month, the 15th of Sha'ban. And the momentous event that happened, as mentioned in the Seerah al-Nabawiyyah of Ibn Hisham, the life biography of the Prophet by Ibn Hisham, is that in the night of the 15th of Sha'ban, the direction of prayer from Jerusalem moved to Mecca. The Qibla, we call this the Qibla in Arabic. Qibla is wajhatu Ka'ba musharrafa, is the direction of the Ka'ba. So when people say, which way is Qibla, I need to pray, they mean which direction is it facing towards the Ka'ba. That's why even today some people were talking about the astrolabes and how Muslims use this as one of the functions of astrolabes to try and calculate the orientation towards Mecca so they can pray wherever they are, whether they're on land, sea, wherever. So this was one of the aims of the Muslims, to find out the direction of Qibla. So in this middle of Sha'ban, 15th of Sha'ban, Allah ordered a change of direction from the east in Jerusalem to the Middle East in Mecca. So the Muslims, early Muslims, used to pray towards the direction of the Jewish community used to, and of course some Christian communities. Generally the Christians just used to orient to the east. That's what orientation means, going to the east, doesn't it? So, and then the Muslims were commanded to follow the Ka'ba. And Allah mentions this in the Quran, where He says, and I'm going to read just a couple of verses. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط المستقيم. So some people, they said, the Quran says, some fools amongst the people said, or were saying to the Prophet, what has made them change the direction of prayer? What has made them change the direction of prayer? Then God said to His Prophet to say to them, look, to God belongs the east and the west. It doesn't matter where you are. God belongs to the east and the west. The east and west belongs to God. Doesn't matter where you are. He can change the direction of prayer to the west if He wants, or to the east. It doesn't make any difference. So He says, so وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبِ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Only God guides to the straight path whomever He wishes to guide. Then it says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. And we have made you, we have raised you, O Prophet, you and your community, as a just and balanced nation. أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Why? لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. So you can be a witness over what people do. You can set them straight, set them right, because you have got the guidance. وَيَكُونُ رَسُولًا عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And your Prophet will be a witness over you being a witness over the people. And then it says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يَتَّبِعَ الرَّسُولَ مِمَّنْ يَنْقَلِبَ عَلَى عَقَبَيْهِ وَإِنْ كَانَتْ لَكَبِيرَةً إِلَّا عَلَى الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِالنَّاسِ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. And we have made you a just nation, as I explained earlier in the verse, and you are a witness over the people, and your messenger is a witness over you. We did not make that which you would have to be with the Qibla, but that we made distinguishing him who follows the messenger from him who turns away from him. So changing the Qibla was a test of submission. It was a test of submission. The Prophet Muhammad was ridiculed, alayhi salatu wasalam. The Jews said, oh, look at you, how dare you follow our orientation where we pray, and so on. He was mocked and ridiculed about it. And the Prophet longed to have the Ka'ba to be the direction of prayer, and Allah accepted that. And He changed it, and He wanted to see if the Muslims would follow and submit to that orientation, that change. And it is reported that while that revelation was coming down to the Prophet, he was moved by Gabriel in the direction of Ka'ba. And even while in the prayer, the companions Some of them, although stood still, were slightly